Hey, what's up, guys? Tony here, and welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Tony. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about effort versus reward. So I first want to apologize for not posting a lot of videos as of late, and a bit of it has to do with what I'm about to talk about. So let's get into it. If you think about it, anybody who does anything, and I'll take it from like a work standpoint, say you have a job and you have a supervisor. Most of us have supervisors. I think the only person who doesn't have a supervisor is some sort of CEO. And even then, a CEO still has shareholders that they have to answer to, so their performance is also gauged to a certain extent. So let's take a look at from just like a regular hourly employee, which most of us more than likely are. Say you're at a job site, whatever it is you're doing, you get paid per hour and you have certain responsibilities. However, you find that you're the only one who goes above and beyond. You're that guy who makes sure that you wash whatever you got to wash, and you do it thoroughly, and you clean, and you just do everything by the book, and you get no recognition for it. Nobody says, hey, good job. Nobody gives you a raise. Just basically like nobody says, hey, that you're doing a good job. You do the work you're expected to do, but when you compare it to your coworkers, you're doing above and beyond work. You're not doing just what everyone else is doing, because you'll notice if you start a job, if you haven't had a job yet, when you start a job, you'll notice that you're taught you're supposed to do something one way, and then you learn very quickly that there's another way to do it. Typically, that other way is a shortcut, or any way that makes the task more, palpable, I guess is a good way to put it. It just makes it easier to handle. And it might be a quantity situation, or it could just be a disgusting situation. Say it's like your first job, you might have to clean bathrooms, and you notice that people don't actually get down and scrub toilets and sinks. They just take out trash and sweep floors and fill up maybe the necessities. And so you are responsible for cleaning that bathroom. And so you realize that after your first couple of days of working, people aren't going and doing the job that they're supposed to do. They're just doing the half-assed work. And not only that, the management accepts the half-assed work as like legitimate work. So you're busting your ass to actually clean the bathroom because that's your job. You're like, hey, look, I was paid to clean the bathroom. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, so I do it. And you do it for, a while, and you realize you're just like, I'm just not getting any recognition. And it's not only that, it's also you go and above and beyond. So when people ask you to do certain things, not only are you doing your job, but you're also doing things that other people are asking of you. So you got a manager like, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you do this for me? Can you cover for this guy? And you're always the yes man. You're like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. No problem. I'll get that done. And nobody gives you any recognition. And I'm not saying that you have to get it, but what I'm about to say is, I think, true for a lot of people, that there is a threshold where if you don't get any sort of recognition, even like the simplest recognition, like a verbal, like, hey, good job, thanks for helping out. If you do that above and beyond work and nobody recognizes you for it in the slightest, you get a little turned off and you get a little burned out, and suddenly your quality of work diminishes drastically. Suddenly you're not the guy who cleans the bathroom all the way. It spends 15 minutes cleaning each bathroom, let's say in total. So you don't scrub the toilets anymore, you don't clean the sinks, you don't wash the windows, you just go and you take out trash and you sweep the floors or whatever. So suddenly you go from being a really good employee to just being one of the other people. And I think everyone will reach that threshold eventually if you don't get the recognition for the work that you're doing, because even though it is expected of you, people really don't realize that most people don't actually do the work that's supposed to do. So a case in point is at my work, the bathroom example that I gave you is a very good and real example of case in point where people just do the minimum, and it's accepted by management, which it shouldn't be. But I'm not really in a position to say like, hey, look, we really need to clean these bathrooms and actually clean them, because I'm on the lowest rung of this totem pole. But the thing is to translate that from an everyday workaday situation into what I have sort of been going through. Anyone who's into any sort of visual medium, photographers, videographers, artists of any kind, even musicians, or anyone who's in sort of a performing art to any certain extent, they want their work to be seen. They want people to watch what they're doing, or admire their music or listen to their music, or I don't know, their performances if they're theater people. Could you imagine people doing theater shows with no audience, or stand-up comedy with no audience, or people putting out music for no audience? Now, granted, there are people that are out there for the love of whatever their craft is, and they will do it. Those starving artists, they'll do it despite the fact that nobody's actually buying their work or looking at their work or looking at their photographs, or in the case of YouTube, watching their videos. There are people that will do that. They'll continue to post because they really like to do it. And I think those people are somewhat in the minority. The majority of people, they'll reach a threshold, they'll reach that barrier where they're like, okay, I'm putting in this much effort and I'm getting no reward from it. You know, in the case of YouTube, you put in so much effort into your videos and you don't really get many views. You get less than 2% of your subscribers watching your videos, and you're just kind of like, well, why am I going through all this effort if nobody's watching? And that's kind of the case. That's for me. That's my case right now. I'm sitting here and I've sort of been, I don't know, burn out on YouTube because I go through effort and I put out what I think is good content, and I don't really put out, I don't put out what I think is bad content. I have a very, my quality control is pretty high when it comes to the things I put out. I've canned certain videos because I just don't like them. And I think Battlefield mostly has to do with it, the fact that I haven't been posting a lot of Battlefield. Whenever I do post a Battlefield video, my views skyrocket, and that's a big chunk of it. But the thing, though, is, say for Tuesdays with Tony, the number of views that I get from the amount of effort I put into my videos, it's really low, and it wears on me. And I haven't reached that threshold yet. I haven't reached that threshold where I'm like, I'm going to give up, quit. That's just not me. I'm stubborn as all hell. But I know people, and I know fellow YouTubers that have reached that threshold where they're putting out videos and they see no success, and they eventually shut down their YouTube doors. And that's just the way it goes. People reach that threshold. So I think if I were to put a moral to this commentary, or any sort of lesson learned from this commentary, if you're that kind of person, and this is going to go away from YouTube because YouTube is not really relevant to the real world. This is just a, I don't know, just a weird place where people happen to find some modicum of success. And it's very rare that you make it to those upper echelons. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it's not real life. But for the rest of us who live on planet Earth and have to go to work and want real jobs that have real meaning to them, don't give up on giving out the 100% effort every time, you know, the 110% when you go to work, even though you might not get the recognition, because you never know really if someone's watching. And I found that out because of the fact that I've been promoted through this chain at my grocery store that I'm working at very quickly. You know, I've been in this store, I've been at this job now for almost a month, and I've gone from a bagger, which is a job that a 16-year-old kid has, to a checker now, and now I'm moving closer to a management position within a month's time. People have seen the hard work that I'm doing. Nobody has said anything about it, and I haven't reached that wall at work because I've got a lot of pride in what I do. But even in past jobs, I have reached that wall before. So anyways, you just never know sometimes who's watching and who is being very silent about their watching. So someone might be looking at you like, this is a good worker, and then suddenly you start to taper off, and they're like, well, I thought this guy had the goods, or this girl had the goods, and now they've just sort of tapered off. So I think it's a hard thing to do, but it's a worthwhile thing to do to make sure you consistently bring the most effort you can at work. Now, you're not going to be 100% every day, but as long as you, on average, you're putting up that 95 to 100% when you're at work, you're in a good spot. And just don't let it go away, because it's easy to slip. But once you slip, it's really hard to regain that fortitude, that strength to carry on with the maximum effort possible. And it's a matter of pride, really, to be honest. So anyways, guys, I'm going to cut it off there before it gets too long. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I shall talk to you guys later.